This is the Russian Dynamite, Masha Slamovich.
Becca here.
This is Not America's Sweetheart, Davian.
It's Billy Starks. And
the super fly guy, Trayvon Jordan.
This is the fly side flyer, Jalen Brandon.
Hardcore Princess, Jules Malone.
Hi there, this is the Bubblegum Princess, Alexia Nicole.
This is the Brazilian Wonder Woman, Christy Jane.
This is the baddest black belt, Chennai Kai.
This is Kid Bandit.
The smash hit Joel Bateman.
This is Robin Renegade.
Cody Hawk.
Brutal Bob Evans. And you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment, one of my favorite podcasts in the whole wide world.
Annyeonghaseyo, this is Pixel, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hello, and welcome to the show. It's Wrestling with Entertainment, the only audio experience on the web today, the trusted choice for interviewing all your favorite wrestlers for 4 years. On YouTube and Castbox, sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. I'm, of course, your host, James Shea, and it's a great day for wrestling, because we are wrestling with Pixel!
Hello, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And where can we find you next, event-wise?
I am currently with Pro Wrestling Society Korea here in Seoul. So we have events every month. So yeah, you can find me here weekly.
And where can we find you on social media as well?
On social media, you can follow me at fatal_ferret. On Instagram, you can also follow Pro Wrestling Society at PWS Korea, also on Instagram. We're also on YouTube as well. Pro Wrestling Society Korea.
Okay. And do we have merchandise yet?
Merchandise, not yet. Still in the works.
Alright. And you don't have to go looking for it. All of the links to all her social media will be in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and Castbox. Alright, let's get into it.
Alright.
You work for Pro Wrestling Society. Can you tell us about your relationship with the company?
For sure. I've been with them for about 2 years now. They're pretty new. They've been around for only 5 years. Pro wrestling is still kind of getting off the ground here in Korea, so
right.
We're doing our best, but yeah, we're catching on slowly but surely, and currently attempting to start the first women's league ever here. So, been busy with that.
Absolutely. And how did you get involved with Pro Wrestling Society?
It was really random, actually, because I have never done anything remotely athletic or physical in my life. But I've been really into cosplay, and I met the founder of PWS, Shiho, who's also into cosplay in one of my cosplay groups, and he invited me to be, I don't know if you're familiar with King of Fighters, but he invited me to be Angel, who is a wrestling character from King of Fighters game series, as like a kind of ring girl or like special guest at a couple shows. Then we had a photo shoot actually together as well, where I was Angel and he was his wrestling persona. And during the photo shoot, he taught me a couple moves, and I was like, wow, this is really fun. And he said, we're trying to start a female league. Would you be interested in training? And I was like, ooh, no promises, but, maybe I can give it a try. So I gave it a try, and it ended up being the most fun thing I've ever done. And here I am.
Was you a wrestling fan prior to starting with Pro Wrestling Society?
Not really. I enjoyed watching like Joshi Pro Wrestling from Japan, but I never paid any attention to like WWE or, you know, any other leagues other than, you know, the female wrestling in Japan. So I didn't have a lot of exposure. But
And correct me if I'm wrong, but you are American, right?
I am, although I've lived in Korea for 11 years now, so I'm pretty much Korean now.
How did you find yourself in Korea? What brought you there?
Actually, I am American. My parents are American, but I spent a lot of time in Thailand growing up, so I always liked Asia. Always wanted to get back to this side of the world. And in university, I met my now husband, who is Korean. So we moved here together. Yeah.
Okay. Now, you mentioned it. You are a part of the first generation of female pro wrestlers in Korea. You know, there's not a lot of first when it comes to pro wrestling nowadays. So what does that kind of mean to you?
It's a really exciting, like, I really want to get this started and be able to be a part of this legacy and really a breakthrough for women's sports and women in general in Korea. Because, I mean, I like it here, but there's still a lot of, you know, stereotypes and preconceptions when it comes to gender roles, to, you know, put it simply. So it's been a little difficult. We've faced a little bit of, you know, skepticism and women are kind of afraid to try out, but we're getting there. We've got a handful of women wrestlers so far, so hoping to break down that stigma and that barrier and make it more appealing and accessible for women as well as men. So
it does seem like you mentioned Shiho, like he was really invested into bringing female pro wrestling into Korea. How hands-on was he during that process?
Oh, he's been great. Without him, none of this would be possible at all. Like he's still training, our primary trainer. He's given us opportunities and he's done his best to promote us as equal, you know, an equal league, equal wrestlers. So, yeah, I'm really appreciative of him. I feel like I am helping him achieve, you know, his dream. So,
right. And correct me if I'm wrong, but the other two female wrestlers from that class was Poison Rose and Tooji.
Right. We all kind of started training around the same time, so we are the first generation female wrestlers to debut. So,
can you tell us about your relationship with Poison Rose and Tooji?
We're really tight, actually. Like it was nice having, because I was the first girl to start, so it was really intimidating being just training with a bunch of guys. So I was so excited when Poison Rose joined, and I finally had another girl to train with, and then super excited when Tooji joined because she's actually Korean, and like we want to make this appealing to Koreans, so we're really especially hoping to get more Korean wrestlers. So yeah, it's been great. I like how we all have our own strengths and we all kind of support each other. So it's been a learning process for all of us, but we're pushing through to get this off the ground.
How long was it before the other two girls joined?
It was only a couple months, so it wasn't too long.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So from the beginning, you kind of got, the a true American indie experience, because usually there is maybe only one or two girls when it comes to training. Like even in America and Canada.
Oh, really?
Yes, it's very there will be 1 to 2 girls for 10 guys, and that's not a joke.
All right then. Okay, so I guess I didn't have an unusual experience starting out.
Yes, very authentic. You've also getting in the ring. You've wrestled in a pro wrestling ring, but you've also wrestled on the mats as well.
Right.
What were kind of the differences between wrestling in the ring and wrestling on the mats?
Oh well, that's mainly because like our main stadium, our studio is actually in Pyeongtaek, which, if you're unfamiliar with Korea, is about a 2-hour drive outside of Seoul. So whenever we have like mini events and mini shows in Seoul, it's usually pretty hard to get the ring down there, pack it up and move it. So we do a lot of like pub brawl style with the mats, which is fun because we get to do in a lot of different environments. Like we've done in taco restaurants, we've done in bars, we've done Comic-Con recently, in different places like that. So different scenarios, we can, play around a little differently with our environment, but definitely a lot harder because the mats are pretty small.
Right.
So the space is a lot more limited. There's no ropes to play off of. You're hitting the mat, you're hitting the ground, so it's a little more painful to take bumps. A little less we can do in terms of moves, but it's also kind of challenging trying to plan out a match or have a match with kind of a limited move set and still make it entertaining. So
right.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned you got to wrestle at a comic event convention, kind of where
right.
It started with you with Shiho recommending to come to pro wrestling. So was that kind of like a full circle moment for you?
It absolutely was. I was so excited to be able to be a part of that, and yeah, it felt good to finally wear my Angel costume and actually be in a match and not just like for a photo shoot, not just a ring girl or on the side. So wow, it was like, yeah, I'm finally an actual arcade fighting game character.
And you were actually able to wrestle Shiho. Obviously your coach. So what was that experience like?
That's always good. We ended up wrestling with him often just because he's one of the only wrestlers who was kind of trained to work with female wrestlers. And it's always fun to have women beat him up. So it's been good. Plus, knowing that he's been wrestling for like 10 years, he's pretty experienced, and we all can feel like safe and things. So he's been really good for helping us get confidence before we were trained enough to like actually have matches with each other and on our own. So.
And what was that moment kind of like, getting a one-on-one match with, one of the other girls?
It was really exciting because it meant like we were finally, past that training stage. We're finally making progress, and now we can finally have, female wrestling. And it was also a little intimidating because, it's the first. I mean, other leagues have brought in like female wrestlers from Japan or from other countries, but for us to be like the first, of the Korean League female wrestlers, it was a lot of pressure. We wanted, to have a good first impression and make sure Koreans and our other local viewers would want to continue to support us and appreciate the women's side just as much as the male side. So it was intimidating, but it's good. We've had a really good response so far, so that's been really encouraging.
Is there any female experts that you kind of have your eye on that you're like, I'd really like to wrestle her?
My idol is Unagi Sayaka from Japan. So someday, if I could have a match with her, I would be so happy. My dream come true.
All right. Well, going from, wrestling, you actually, in the ring, had a dance-off with Lee Sinbi?
I think that was Poison Rose. That was not me.
No, it was definitely you. It's on Instagram.
I had a dance-off?
Kind of, sort of. She danced and then you danced with Lee Shinbi? I believe I'm pronouncing that correct.
The was that like the meme? The
yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I don't know. I'm old. I don't know what's on TikTok, but we were at a convention and apparently it's like some anime meme where the anime character is like eating something and he's dancing, and it was popular at the time. So Shinbi asked us to do it. So I was like, I have no idea what this is, but sure, let's do it.
All right. Well, I think it's time for Pixel's Bizarre Adventure. You're a pro wrestler, and weird, crazy, and bizarre things are bound to happen. Can you tell us a story that is weird, crazy, and or bizarre?
Ooh. Weird story. Let's see. I don't know if it's necessarily weird or crazy, but I guess it was kind of funny when we were at the Comic-Con preparing to perform before our match. I was in my cosplay, obviously, and we were hanging around our little booth area, and we had people come over who were fans of PWS, and there was one guy who was talking to all the wrestlers. He was really excited, and then he comes to me and he's like, "Oh, are you a ring girl?" I'm like, "No, I'm not." And before I can answer again, he's like, "You should be a ring girl. I think you'd be really good at it." And then he just kind of like pats me on the shoulder and walks away. I'm like, "Wait, come back!" Like, no, I'm a wrestler. Watch my match. Damn it! Like, women can wrestle too. So, I hope you watch my match, because later on he actually found me on Instagram and he's like, "Oh my god, I didn't know you were a wrestler." I was like, "Yeah, he didn't give me a chance to say anything."
Well, at least he got to actually see you, that you are a pro wrestler.
Indeed. It was satisfying to see him come back like, oh, yeah, that's right.
Alright. Now, you are Pixel, so I do have to ask, are you 8-byte, 16-byte, or 64?
I am 1,000 megapixels. That's what I am.
Alright. Now, besides being a pro wrestler, you are also a cosplayer. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. I guess growing up, I've always been into like arcade fighting games. When I was little, I'd always like to go to the arcades and play on the machines. So when I was in high school, I don't know, I decided I really like these characters. Let's start dressing like them too. I learned to sew in school, and then I started making my own costumes. So, yeah, it was always fun to like play the games dressed as the characters. Like, I don't know, that's my thing. So, and then I continued that after I moved to Korea, and that got me to pro wrestling, so I guess it was a good thing.
Oh yeah. What has been your favorite cosplay so far?
Ooh, besides Angel, I recently did Melina for Mortal Kombat, which was my first attempt at doing like special effects makeup. So I did, like, if you're familiar with her, she's got kind of like teeth that come out of her mouth, like she has no lips kind of thing.
Okay.
So I got to experiment with kind of her shark teeth going on. So that was cool. I actually got to wrestle with that too, and my makeup stayed put through my match, so I was proud of myself.
That's a win right there.
Yeah. I was happy.
Is there any cosplay that you've done that you were like, this was good, but I would maybe like to redo it or do it maybe better?
Oh, absolutely. Probably Rogue from X-Men, especially now that the Marvel vs. Capcom collection came out again. I really kind of want to redo my Rogue costume, especially the boots. I think I'm better at making boot covers now. So.
Okay. And what is a cosplay that you're currently in development? What are you looking to do right now?
Ooh. Right now, I am working on not fighting game related, but I have an American McGee's Alice that's halfway done.
Okay.
And I've also been planning out Tomie from Junji Ito, if you're familiar with that, because I really want to do more SFX makeup. So she's kind of got like two faces, like a face coming out of the side of her head. So I want to see if I can do that with makeup.
What has been the cosplay you've put the most hours into creating the costume?
Ooh. Probably Atena from King of Fighters 15, her King of Fighter 15 costume. She has kind of an intricate Chinese style dress with tassels and buttons and ribbons hanging off it. So that was fun trying to sew.
And let's say that you have unlimited budget, unlimited time. You're in a time capsule. You can spend all the time you want. What would be the ultimate cosplay for you? What would you really want to do?
Who? That's a hard one. I said it would probably be American McGee's Alice, but maybe one of her like alternate dresses, and if I could take the time to make her weapons like the giant hobby horse or croquet mallet, I think that would be fun.
Okay. Now, obviously, you do cosplay. Has that helped you with with creating and designing ring gear?
It has actually, I feel. Although with my current gear right now, I actually had my friend Percival, who's in Indonesia, who actually helped me design it, the rough draft at least, and then I was able to make it a little bit more wearable and updated to my current design. But now I'm currently working on like my logo and a couple other gear designs to wear. So I think definitely like my current gear has like Angel inspiration in its design, and I'm currently working on one that has more Atena, King of Fighters aesthetic, and another one that has more Kula, also King of Fighters aesthetic. So I think it's helped being a little unique in my designs.
So we have a lot of new ring gear to look forward to.
Absolutely.
Right. Now, I mean, your Instagram name is Fatal Ferret, so can you tell us about your ferrets?
Well, it's a play on Fatal Fury, obviously, if you're familiar with that game. And I have 3 ferrets. One is named Jajang, which is black bean. So he's got a black nose, so his name's Jajang. I have one named Soba, which is noodles from Japan. And then I recently got another one from Japan. We actually imported him from Japan, and his name is Udon because he's white, so he's white noodles. And they're my cheer squad.
What kind of pets are ferrets, if I may ask?
They're really nice. I think they're the perfect apartment pet. Here in Korea, most people live in an apartment, so they're really quiet. They're small. They can sleep in a cage, and then when we're home, they come out and have the place to themselves. They use a litter box like a cat, so they're kind of clean. And
And correct me if I'm wrong, but they have actually cosplayed themselves sometimes, right?
That's right. One of my favorite characters from Fatal Fury series is Hotaru, and she actually has a pet ferret as well. I guess he's a Barton, but close enough. So the last time I cosplayed Hotaru, I got to have Jajang with me.
Now, you also have cicadas?
I don't know if I have cicadas, but they're everywhere outside.
Okay.
I love them, though. They're my favorite part of summer.
Okay. Now, can you tell us about um song-inspired art?
I like drawing, but sometimes I feel very uncreative or uninspired. So sometimes I feel like drawing, but I don't know what to draw. So I came up with this idea, like, let's just put my entire music library on shuffle, and whatever song comes up, I'll use that to come up with inspiration for an art piece, just to get my pencil moving, or, you know, practice a technique or something. So that gave birth to my song-inspired art series, I guess, if you want to call it a series.
I definitely would call it that. What was some of your favorite ones?
Probably anything Plastic Tree. They're one of my favorite bands, and they have really unique and poetic lyrics. So every time one of their songs comes up, I always get, you know, interesting ideas to make a composition from.
Is there anything you're currently working on art-wise?
Currently, I'm drawing a picture of one of my favorite bands, the bassist of my favorite band, because actually, like, I see them they're a Japanese band, and I usually go to Japan every couple months specifically to see them in concert. And the bassist is actually really supportive of me. He always remembers me and remembers that I do pro wrestling, and actually follows PWS and my wrestling account there, and always asks me about it. So he recently had a birthday, so I'm drawing him a birthday portrait.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's a great segue into the colossal question. Let's say they're making a movie about you. Big production, big producers, unlimited budget. Every movie has a soundtrack. What would be the first 3 songs on your movie soundtrack?
I think first would be the song Hype by Day Lotus, who is a really awesome local indie Korean rock band who has also been really supportive of my wrestling career. They let me use Hype as my first entrance theme before I actually commissioned them to write the current song that I have. So first one, Hype by Day Lotus.
Okay.
Number 2, maybe Chromosome 6 by Uchu Sentai Noise, who is my favorite Japanese band. The bassist that I'm drawing got a lot of energy, and my character is kind of, you know, high tension, high energy.
Right.
And my last one. Oh, that's a hard one. Maybe.
Would you like to come back to the question and give you some time to think?
Oh, you know what? Maybe I'll go with the theme song from King of Fighters 14.
Okay. A solid 3 picks, to say the least. Everybody knows, you get the soundtrack first, then you write the script, and then you go to casting. Who plays Pixel, and you can't say yourself because you are legally obligated to make a Stan Lee-esque cameo.
Ooh. Ooh, I don't know. That's a good question. I feel like I don't know any, like, foreign actors or actresses. And it'd be weird to have a Korean play me, right?
I mean, if it's what you want. I mean, it's your movie. It can be whoever you want.
This is true, then I would ask, first choice, Unagi Sayaka, come play me and make me look better than I am. Yes.
Alright. And every movie has a supporting cast. Who would be 3 people significant to you and your story that would be in your movie, and who would play them?
Oh. I think it'd probably be, the other female wrestlers who debuted with me. So my movie would absolutely have to have a Poison Rose and a Tooji.
Okay.
And I guess probably a Shiho too would be important.
Yeah, I would think so.
So, who would play them? Who is that one that Margot Robbie, is that her name?
Yes.
I think she bears kind of a resemblance to Poison Rose. Maybe she could play Poison Rose.
Okay.
And I don't know, I gotta find a Korean actress for 2G. And maybe that who would play Shiho?
I don't
know.
I'm not entirely sure myself. We could leave it up to casting if you'd like.
Yeah, that's true. Casting's probably not my strong point.
Fair enough. But it is sounding like a great movie, a blockbuster to say the least, and you could pre-order the tickets now.
Oh.
Now, you kind of mentioned, you wasn't necessarily immersed in pro wrestling before getting into the profession. Can you tell us what were the advantages and disadvantages of not necessarily being a wrestling fan before actually getting into pro wrestling?
I definitely felt a little lost in terms of terminology, especially all the other guys would, talk about their favorite WWE wrestlers and their moves, and I don't know what a Swanson Bomb was. I don't know, I don't know what what heel and face even meant. So it was a bit of a learning curve. But at the same time, a lot of them had never watched, Japanese Joshi Pro Wrestling, so they weren't familiar with kind of the more female style wrestling or the different moves that they had. So I feel like I got to introduce them to some more wrestling styles, and I guess I got to learn from the bottom, so I didn't have any preconceived notions or expectations going in, I guess. So that was useful.
Okay. Now onto a controversial subject. Pineapple on pizza. What's your stance?
I'm not against it. I'm not the biggest pineapple fan, but I don't hate it. If it's on the pizza, I will eat it. I probably wouldn't order it myself, but if it was on a pizza and it was placed in front of me and offered to me, I would probably still eat it. To each their own. Doesn't hurt anything.
Okay, so kind of leaning more towards anti.
Yeah, I wouldn't order it myself, but
Okay.
I'm not gonna ostracize anyone who does.
And what's your spirit Pokemon?
Oh, my spirit Pokemon is definitely Slowpoke.
I feel like you had that ready to go. like you've thought about this before.
I don't know. Like I'm in my bedroom right now, and I have just a shelf of Slowpoke stuffed animals right next to me. So I just casually glance over. Yep, it's Slowpoke.
Okay. Now, we love the late great Tracy Smothers on the show. Do you know the acronym for Thug? THUG.
I do not know.
T is for terrible, H is for hell, U is for ugly, and G is for jail, 'cause a dog can't spell.
That's cute.
Yes, we love the late great Tracy Smothers on the show, trying to keep the memory alive. If you are, a young wrestler, in your career, he's definitely worth a Google.
I will check him out.
Now, weirdest question you'll be asked on a wrestling interview, hopefully.
Oh.
Would you ever consider wrestling a Rock? Not Dwayne Johnson, not the country, an actual physical Rock.
I'd give it a try. Like, I mean, like, as a wrestler, it's your job to entertain, right? And make the show entertaining. So, if that was what I had to do, I would give it my best shot. See if I can, make that Rock look like he's putting up a great fight, and do my best not to be beaten by a Rock, but
Well, just for context, there is this wrestler named Psycho Mike that indeed wrestled a Rock for over 15 minutes in a Tungsten Man match. That's an Iron Man match that lasts for 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yes.
That's impressive.
Not that impressive. He didn't win. It was 319 to 319, and since The Rock was the world champion, he retained.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's bad for Mike. On a more serious note, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
In 5 years, I hope I am, still with PWS. I hope by then we have expanded to have a studio in Seoul, and we have our blossoming women's league with our own championship belt and lots of women trainees. Yeah, that's where I think we'll be.
And what is a match people should go out of their way to see that best shows off what you are all about as a pro wrestler?
A match?
Yes.
I think my next match with Poison Rose should be good, because she's been cheating and getting me the past couple matches. She's been, getting involved when it wasn't even her turn and messing up my matches with Tooji and the other wrestlers. So I think I'm excited to finally get my revenge.
And is there a match, like currently, like on YouTube that we could check out?
Possibly. Maybe our last next step show. What date was it? September 1st. September 1st, next step show. That was me versus Poison Rose.
Okay.
My comeback after having to take a month off rest for an injury. So.
Ooh. Was that your first injury?
It was.
What was that was that a scary moment? What was that moment like?
It was a little scary. I was in the hospital for a week, but it wasn't very painful, so I guess it wasn't that bad.
What was the injury exactly?
I had a tiny rupture in my liver after taking a Swanson bomb. Yeah.
That's yeah. Does not sound fun.
Yeah, it was more frustrating. Like, I don't know. I guess there's no nerves in your liver, so there wasn't any pain, so that was good. But I still had to take a month off, 5 weeks, so it was frustrating to not be able to participate in our shows and the matches I was excited for. So yeah.
Okay. And if that match with Poison Rose is indeed on YouTube, I will find it and I will put a link to it in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and Castbox. For anybody that hasn't seen it, wants to see it, wants to re-see it after this interview. And since we are nearing the conclusion of this interview, we are wrestling with the 8 questions of doom. This is our speed round, our bonus round, the round where we see who you really are. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Excluding yourself, greatest wrestler of all time.
Ooh. I think probably Rhea Ripley, right? Like I'm impressed with her.
Hell yeah. Worst wrestler.
Worst?
Yes.
Oh man. I don't know.
Would you like the default answer?
Sure.
You have chosen Eva Marie.
Yes, that one.
You're main eventing WrestleMania for the World Championship. Who is your opponent?
For WrestleMania?
Yes.
Oh.
Main event of WrestleMania. Who is your opponent?
Ooh. Can it be Ram Kaito?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
If you could come out to anyone's entrance music, past or present, who would it be?
Ooh. Who? I don't know. I really like Julia's Stardom entrance music. When she was with Stardom, I think she recently left.
Yes.
Yeah, so I really liked hers.
Okay. Finish the sentence. Kayfabe is...
Importance?
We would have also accepted taste great on toast.
Also true.
Very true, yes. Squash, vegetable or fruit?
Ooh. Technically a fruit, right? It's got the seeds in it.
That is 100% correct. Yes, it has
Although
seeds.
I don't think I'd include it in a fruit salad, but technically.
Don't get my co-host started. When he hears that, you're just gonna rile him up. New Japan wrestler Taichi, his ring gear gets smaller every year, revealing more of himself to the world. My question, what is the appropriate trunks to butt cheek ratio for ring gear?
You know, I guess as long as everything's held in, it's all good.
So as long as nothing's coming out, it's fine.
Yeah, I'd say.
Okay. And the last question, the main event, the thing everybody wants to know. Have you ever had a conversation with a stranger in a supermarket about Darby Allin?
I can't, to the best of my recollection, I don't believe I have.
And that is the correct answer.
All right.
And that will conclude this interview. Thank you so much for coming on and doing this with me.
No problem. Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. And once again, where can we find all things Pixel on social media?
You can check me out on my personal Instagram, fatal_ferret. There's also PWS Korea on Instagram, where you can follow more of my wrestling and more of my league stuff, as well as Pro Wrestling Society Korea on YouTube as well.
And you don't have to type it into your Google machine. All of the links to all her social media will be in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and Castbox. Simply click the link. A new tab will appear on whatever device you are on. You have no excuse. Give her a damn follow. Of course.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, thank you for listening. If you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment. But on YouTube and Castbox, this was sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. Join us every Tuesday and Wednesday for new incredible interviews as we go into year 4 of interviewing. Thank you for listening if you were from the beginning or if you just started following us now. And you can follow us at Wrestling with E, both on X, Thread, and Instagram for information on who we're interviewing, when we're interviewing them, links to those interviews, and so much more. Follow me personally at JamesJ993. Alright, when I say Wrestling with, you say entertainment, okay?
Okay.
For our special guest Pixel, Coleco Yacht, Scooter Dust, I'm James J, and this has been Wrestling with
Entertainment.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.